Chapter 616, Conquering the World. Thank you, young master. All the experts stood up, their faces pale. If not for their strong willpower, they would have collapsed long ago. This was also the first time they experienced the feeling of ordinary people. Under those circumstances, they could not hold on at all. Moreover, they had experienced the pressure of the 9 heaven stars and later experienced the suppression of the 5 Tao wills. It was already incredible that they could endure. Since you have followed me, you have to do things for me. I don't care about anything else. Even if you provoke the martial god, I will block it for you. If you provoke a god, I can also destroy the god. But if you betray me, even a true god can't save you. Similarly, as long as you work hard, I won't mistreat you. At the very least, I won't let you be too trash and embarrass me. Li Lingtian said calmly. There was not the slightest bit of power emanating from his body, just like an ordinary person. However, the 10,000 super experts in front of them all understood that if they treated this young master as an ordinary person, then they could die. We understand. I'm willing to be loyal to young master. I'll do anything for you. If you are disloyal in the slightest, I'm willing to be struck by lightning. My cultivation will fall and I won't be able to improve. I'll be haunted by my inner demons. Nearly 10,000 experts bowed respectfully, looking extremely sincere. At the same time, all the powerhouses were excited because Li Lingtian would never forget them. Even if he forgot about them, he wouldn't embarrass himself. Such an expert naturally wouldn't want some trash subordinates by his side. As long as he and the others worked hard, coupled with the medicinal pills of a saint alchemist, it wouldn't be easy to raise his cultivation. Moreover, it seemed that the young master had made some moves this time. Otherwise, he would not have appeared so easily. Don't talk so beautifully. In the future, use your performance to speak. The Shenju continent is in chaos, and the empires and kingdoms are fighting for hegemony. Who does this world belong to? Li Lingtian said calmly. He was surprised by the oath of these powerhouses. Even if the words of powerhouses were not to be trusted, the fact that they could swear on their mind devil and cultivation base showed their loyalty and determination. However, he was not like those fools who could be moved by a single sentence. If that was really the case, he would have died countless times and would no longer be qualified to continue living in the divine martial continent. Therefore, he showed his might right from the start. He directly displayed the terrifying 9 heaven stars and the 5 elements will. These two were definitely heaven-defying existences. Even if a martial saint powerhouse saw it, they would be shocked to death. After all, these two shocking existences were things that they had never come into contact with before. In front of these two powerful techniques, they were completely like ants. In this world, the strong admired the strong, and the strong destroyed the weak. Even though Li Lingtian was a holy alchemist and was admired by countless people, he did not have any real capabilities and few people would really serve him. The bigger the fist, the harder it was to win. Therefore, whatever he showed, even if it was the strongest fist, would directly conquer these experts. The stronger you were, the more loyal your subordinates would be. Even if they risked their lives, they would think it was worth it. Li Lingtian slowly stood up and looked up into the sky with a faint smile on his face. His smile was extremely confident, as if he was planning and controlling the overall situation of the world. His body also emitted a faintly discernible powerful aura, an aura that looked down on the world and looked down on all living beings. In front of this aura, all the experts could only worship and submit because this aura was innate. He asked with a smile who was the ruler of the world, who was the ruler of this world, and who could become the ruler. When all the powerhouses saw Li Lingtian's expression, they had a feeling that their master was looking down on the world and was determined to sweep through the entire Shen continent to become the ruler of the Shen continent. How many people in the world could match Li Lingtian's imposing manner and heaven-defying strength? Young master swept the world, unified the Black Continent, and became the ruler of the Black Continent. Young master is invincible. He unified the Black Continent and became the divine martial great ruler. All the powerhouses felt Li Lingtian's aura and his domineering aura. Their blood boiled. No one knew who shouted it out, but all the experts immediately followed suit. Instantly, The strong man's scruples disappeared. He could feel the burning hot blood in the man's body. I really want to seize the throne of the Xian continent and sweep away the common people. Are you all willing to follow me to travel the entire Xian continent and roam the divine martial continent? Are you all willing to laugh arrogantly at the world and sweep across the universe? Li Lingtian slowly retracted his gaze from the void, and his gaze landed on the tens of thousands of powerhouses. His gaze was like lightning, and wherever his gaze passed, the powerhouses no longer avoided his gaze. Instead, their eyes shone with a scorching light. His voice was calm as he asked all the experts. However, in the eyes of all the powerhouses, Li Lingtian's every move was imbued with supreme dignity. It was a force that was one with the world and was one with the world. Even though his voice wasn't loud, it was able to stir up the desire and passion deep in the hearts of all the experts. Or rather, it was the instinct of men to be hot-blooded. Willing to follow young master to conquer the world, to be proud of the world, and to sweep across the world. I don't care even if I have to die. Willing to follow the young master to conquer the world, even if it means being crushed to death. Willing to follow the young master to conquer the world, even if it means being crushed to death. The passionate voice came from the bottom of the strong man's heart. It also stimulated the strong man's instinct and the hot blood of the man. Even if they were to be smashed into pieces, they would not regret it, because men should be hot-blooded and conquer the world. Men should fight on the battlefield, and men should protect the people they should protect. Men would never regret it even if they died on the battlefield. All right, the world will tremble because of your existence. This world will change because of your passion. This world will belong to the strong. You are the true strong. A true expert needs to have the heart of an expert. Even if he's invincible, he won't take a step back. This is what an expert is like. Are you afraid of death? Li Lingtian felt his blood boil as well. He was a man, a responsible and hot-blooded powerhouse. In his previous life, he had seen his own country being bullied by all the other countries, and he had seen the majestic celestial empire endure the suppression of Pan Bang, who was like an ant. He felt extremely aggrieved. That was the so-called peaceful era, which was also an era that emphasized rules. Although he had the blood of a man, he had no ability. In this life, he had shocking strength. This was also a world where the strong were respected. He wanted to unleash the suppression of his previous life. He would no longer allow his country to be humiliated. He would make the world tremble under his feet. If you are afraid of death, you are not a man. I would rather die standing than live kneeling. I would rather die standing than live kneeling. Waves of excited voices sounded out. All the experts were no longer weak. They had completely used their will to change them, obtaining an ethereal sublimation. Before Li Lingtian left the drill ground, he looked at the powerhouses meditating on the spot, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He had already done what he wanted to do. His goal was that simple. Long Da and Marshal St. Yun Hao followed behind Li Lingtian with admiration. They were powerhouses too, and their blood was boiling. Li Lingtian had completely ignited their passion. Furthermore, Li Lingtian's ability to raise his aura with just a few simple words was unmatched. In a great battle, not only strength, but also morale. In a war, one's influence was not the only factor. One also had to consider the right timing, location, and people. Li Lingtian was an array Dao expert, so he naturally understood this. What he needed was the momentum of his subordinates. Once they had morale, they would wait for the east wind. The war in Qingxian was about to begin, and so was Nanda Prefecture. As long as Qingxian was attacked by the other countries, Nanda Prefecture would sweep away the other commanderies. After Li Lingtian left the drill ground, he returned to the Li residence. Naturally, Chu Tianlan would handle the battle. With the army of the prefecture as the foundation, they could compete with the other commanderies. Together with his guards, they could sweep away the masters of the other commanderies. He didn't want to be restrained during the war. He would either not attack or sweep across the commandery once he attacked. Otherwise, if he couldn't deal with the commanderies easily, he wouldn't have the ability to fight for the world. Moreover, after returning to the Li residence, Li Lingtian told Tang Qingyu and the rest to ignore the matters outside and focus on gathering powerhouses, refining pills, and using pills to fight the war. Li Lingtian did not expect the war to come so soon. 3 days later, with the Qianluo Kingdom and the Qingluo Kingdom as the main forces, the other 4 kingdoms also formed a siege on the Qingxian Kingdom. In a short period of time, Qingxian was being attacked from all sides. Tens of millions of soldiers were gathered at the border to resist the foreign enemies. At the same time, the northern cloud commandery near Nandu Commandery was also attacked by powerful enemies. Seeing this, Li Lingtian immediately gave an order to Chu Tianlan to gather 1 million troops and march toward North Cloud Commandery. The million-strong army was made up of spaceships. There were countless spaceships in the sky, and the sky was pitch black. The divine martial continent was vast, and the ones fighting were all experts. Even the army of Nanda County was at least a warrior spirit. The rest were all martial kings, martial grandmasters, or even martial emperors and martial venerables. The million-strong army arrived in front of North Cloud County in less than a day. North Cloud County was even weaker than Nanda County. However, North Cloud County was Qingxian's territory. Naturally, they had to conquer it. City Lord, the million-strong army of Nanda County has already gathered in South City. In the prefecture of North Cloud Commandery, all the experts were gathered. The experts here were all martial supremes and martial emperors. There were even 2 martial saints. Although their strength was not deep, they were still peak First Heaven experts. News came from the outside that the army of Nandu Commandery had arrived. The army of North Cloud Commandery was excited because the army of the Qing-Luo nation was powerful. There were 5 martial saints among them. Moreover, there was a second heaven martial saint. The northern Cloud County was not a match for the Qing-Luo army. If they were to add the army of the southern capital county, they would naturally have the strength to fight. This was because martial saints could not directly participate in the battle. At the very least, they could not destroy the army. This was the ironclad law of the divine martial continent. Martial saints could only act in secret. Therefore, they were not worried that a martial saint would destroy the entire army. As long as Nanda County helped, the Qing-Luo nation would not be able to wipe out the North Cloud County. P.S. I recommend my friend September Fire's fantasy work, The Way to Swallow the Heavens and Demon Souls. The Mad Cultivator Cultivates the Gods. Falling Flowers, please recommend me, monthly votes, tips. Tomorrow, 20 chapters. The day after tomorrow, 20 chapters. The more votes you have, the more chapters you can add. Chapter 617, Encounter on a Narrow Road. The Brave Wins. The army of Nanda Commandery also has 1 million soldiers. With the million soldiers of North Cloud Commandery outside, they should be able to hold off the army of the Black Civ Kingdom. The main thing is that I'm worried that after the Qingxian Kingdom is conquered, the Northern Cloud County outside will be finished. Zhu Ziyun, the king of Northern Cloud Commandery, smiled. However, he was more worried than smiling. So what if Nandu Prefecture helped? Qingxian was attacked by several countries. Sooner or later, it would be wiped out. As a commandery of Qingxian, it would not be spared. Ruler, 2 million soldiers against 5 million from the Black Civ Kingdom is nothing. BICS mainly because the Qing-Luo Kingdom has sent 5 martial saints. We can't possibly resist them. Nanda County will definitely not take out the experts of the Chu family. Therefore, our North Cloud County will not be spared. Long Qinghe, the Supreme Elder of North Cloud Commandery, was one of the 2 martial saint experts in North Cloud Commandery. He was at the first sky of the martial saint realm. In North Cloud Commandery, he was absolutely supreme. They had always been high and mighty, but in this war between commanderies, they had no advantage. If anything went wrong, not to mention the commandery, even he, the martial saint, would not be spared. This commandery belonged to them, and it was also their world and territory. Naturally, they didn't want to be destroyed and seized by others. Country ruler, no, not good, not good. At this moment, the guards outside ran in with extremely flustered expressions. When he arrived at the hall, he couldn't care less about anything else. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have dared to speak loudly in the hall. However, he was so flustered and lost his composure now. Impudent! As a guard, how can you bow like this? When the other Grand Elder, Zhu Tianyun, saw the guard barge in, he was instantly enraged. His aura erupted from his entire body, and he was about to kill the guard. Wait a minute. What is it that you are so flustered about? Speak. Long Qinghe said to Zhu Tianyun to stop him from attacking. Then, his sharp gaze turned to the guard, and he was extremely worried. This guard would not barge into the hall for no reason. Something must have happened. Grand Elder, Ruler. The army of Nandu Commandery is attacking North Cloud Commandery. North Cloud Commandery has been utterly defeated and is on the verge of breaking through the city walls. The army of the Black Civ Kingdom is also attacking the city. The guard was a martial arts grandmaster after all, so he quickly calmed down. He told her what had happened outside. After that, he sat down on the ground. What? Nandu Prefecture attacked North Cloud Prefecture? Immediately, the atmosphere in the hall was extremely strange. The country ruler and the two Grand Elders exclaimed. They could no longer sit still and suddenly stood up, looking at the guards with cold eyes. In the end, he knew that this guard wouldn't spout nonsense and that it was definitely true. For a moment, they did not know what to do. They had thought that they were reinforcements, but now they had become enemies. This was undoubtedly adding insult to injury. Nandu Prefecture was already powerful. Now that Nandu Prefecture and Qingluo country were attacking North Cloud Prefecture at the same time, North Cloud Prefecture would definitely not be able to hold on. Let's go out and take a look. Even if we die, we must drag Nandu County down with us. Zhu Tianyun's face revealed a vicious expression. Even a dog would jump over a wall in desperation. His original hope had turned into despair, and he was naturally furious. Why did Nandu Prefecture attack North Cloud Prefecture? They knew that Qingxian was under siege, but they didn't help. Instead, they came to fight. Isn't this a betrayal? Zhu Ziyun had yet to react. Nandu Prefecture was one of the most important commanderies in Qingxian. It was also the commandery with the richest resources. If Nandu Prefecture betrayed them, they must have joined hands with other countries. Not only him, but even the two Supreme Elders and the Black Civ army had not expected this. They thought that the higher-ups of the Qing Civ Kingdom had informed Nandu Commandery. Seeing the million-strong army of Nandu Commandery attacking North Cloud Commandery, the Qing Civ Kingdom's army also began to attack the city. Soon, the three of them arrived at the top of the city wall. They went straight to the south and north cities. On both sides, millions of troops were attacking the Nandu County's million-strong army was all elite soldiers and good generals, their momentum shaking the sky. The destructive array attacked the defensive array on the city wall. The defensive array kept trembling. If this continued, the defensive array would be shattered. Roar, roar, roar. Boom, boom, boom. A series of heaven-shaking roars and the morale of the army rose. Seeing the morale of Nandu County's army, the country ruler Zhu Ziyun and the two Grand Elders were extremely shocked. Why is Nandu County so powerful? Long Qinghe said in a daze. Although the army was full of people below the martial emperor realm, judging from the morale and formation, it was definitely not that simple. The power of Nandu County was beyond their imagination. The morale and formation of the commandery army were even more terrifying than that of the Qingluo army. State Lord Chu, the young lord, has said that he will sweep through the Black Civ army and the North Cloud commandery army in an hour. Within 3 days, he will annex the surrounding cities. Speed up the siege. Leave the two martial saints to us. In the army of Nandu Commandery, a middle-aged man beside Chu Tianlan said indifferently. He looked at the two martial saints on the city wall of North Cloud Commandery and revealed a cruel smile. Great battles were all about killing. I know. Chu Tianlan, as the ruler of the country, wasn't unhappy at this moment. Instead, she was extremely excited. With a wave of his hand, hundreds of martial emperor powerhouses quickly gathered together and formed a cone-shaped formation. This cone-shaped formation was a terrifying killing weapon that was specially used to attack cities. It was obvious that they were gathering all the martial emperor powerhouses to unleash such a formation in order to take down the enemy city in one blow. Not good, not good. There are experts behind Nanda County. They want to destroy our North Cloud County. Zhu Tianyun was shocked when he saw the formation formed by hundreds of martial emperor powerhouses. The expression on his face changed drastically. At this moment, as a martial saint expert, he did not know what to do. Because they could not participate in the battle, they could only watch the army below. If they attacked, the Northern Cloud County would disappear forever. Moreover, martial saints would be killed by the iron law of the divine martial continent. Kill, 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 boom, boom, boom. In the northern part of the city, the Black Civ army was also advancing with unstoppable momentum. They were attacking the city walls with all their might, causing the formation on the city walls to tremble. The two armies attacked the defensive array. Zhu Ziyun and the other two, as well as the Northern Cloud Commandery army, were all ashen. This was not a battle of the same level. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion sounded. The 100 martial monarch realm experts from Nanda County unleashed a destructive attack that struck the defensive array. The super heaven-grade defensive array instantly shattered and disappeared like the melting sunflower in spring. The Northern Cloud Commandery was exposed to the air. All of the Northern Cloud Commandery troops lost their sense of security. Countless experts from the Northern Cloud Commandery were destroyed by the array formation. Kill them! Kill them! Kill them! The defensive array was broken, and the army of Nandu Commandery rushed over like a tide. Instantly, the two armies collided like two waves, creating a world-shaking destruction. In a battle of 1,000,000 soldiers, morale was the most important. Encounter on a narrow road. The brave will win, Chu Tianlan shouted loudly, and the 1,000,000-strong army behind her followed suit. Instantly, the morale of the army soared, and their imposing manner was like a whirlwind sweeping away the clouds. Kill, 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 kill. When the defensive array was destroyed, the northern city rushed up and surrounded the Northern Cloud Commandery army. Immediately, the two armies attacked North Cloud Commandery from both sides. The North Cloud Commandery army was attacked from both sides and their morale was low. Boom, boom. If the country is broken, where will the mountains and rivers remain? The battle between the experts was earth-shattering. The ground trembled and collapsed. Instantly, the city of North Cloud Commandery was destroyed. Long Qinghe, Zhu Tianyun, listen up. At this moment, a loud voice rang out. The voice was like thunder, attracting Zhu Tianyun, Long Qinghe, and the others. 3 middle-aged men appeared in the air. The 3 middle-aged men did not have any aura on them, just like ordinary people. Who is it? Zhu Tianyun looked at the middle-aged man in the sky and asked in confusion. Then, there was no sound in the air. A moment later, a golden scroll flew towards Zhu Tianyun. Zhu Tianyun's expression changed drastically, and then his face became excited. Listen up. All armies, move to the North City and attack the powerful enemy of the Black Civ Kingdom. Zhu Tianyun handed the golden scroll to Long Qinghe and gave the order loudly, which confused Zhu Ziyun and Long Qinghe. However, Zhu Tianyun, as the Grand Elder, naturally had his own plans. They were all curious about this golden scroll. They wondered what was inside that made Zhu Tianyun so excited. However, after Long Qinghe finished reading it, he looked excited. Kill them! Kill them! The army of North Cloud Commandery transferred all their forces to the North City and did not resist the Nandu Commandery in the South City. The army of Nandu Prefecture did not stop them at all. They had also received Chu Tianlan's order to charge towards the North City. In just a few moments, the 1,000,000-strong army of North Cloud Commandery had gathered in the North City, and the army of Nandu Commandery had also been mobilized. Immediately, the armies of the Black Civ Nation, North Cloud Commandery and Nandu Commandery formed a three-pronged formation. Kill them! Kill them! Without any hesitation, the Nandu Commandery army and the North Cloud Commandery army shouted at the same time. Instantly, the 2,000,000-strong armies charged towards the Black Civ army. The situation was unpredictable, and the Black Civ army was unable to react. The three armies were fighting on the city wall of North Cloud Commandery. Sky Demon King, Marshal Saint Yunhao, and Marshal Saint Ming Luo were all watching the battle. Not far away, Long Qinghe and Zhu Tianyun were thinking about something. Long Qinghe, Zhu Tianyun, I don't think I need to tell you. The young master's oracle is irreversible. We'll help you get rid of a few martial saints. The rest is up to you. If you can't even do such a small thing well, there's no reason for you to stay. Martial Saint Ming Luo looked at Long Qinghe and Zhu Tianyun and said calmly. This time, Li Lingtian did not want to make any mistakes. Hence, he sent the three of them out. The 3/3 Heaven Martial Saint powerhouses would be able to wipe out the Qing Luo army. However, he didn't want the army of the North Cloud Commandery to be idle. Martial Saint Ming Luo and the other two were only responsible for killing the Martial Saint experts of the Qing Luo nation. He would leave the rest to the North Cloud Commandery. Using war to nurture war was like a snowball. Using small forces to swallow them up, the strength would multiply. If they were unwilling, they would be directly eliminated. Today's Chapter 30 explodes, seeking monthly votes, recommendation votes, tips, and book reviews. Tomorrow, it would continue to explode according to the votes. I recommend a Xianxia work by the Demon Soul, Mad Cultivator Cultivates God. It's super good. Chapter 6:18, Those who follow will prosper, those who rebel will die. His irrefutable tone made Zhu Tianyun and the other two extremely unhappy. However, when he thought of that mysterious and terrifying saint alchemist, he did not feel unhappy at all. In the Golden Scroll, Li Lingtian had also granted them their positions. As long as they submitted, they would be able to retain their position as the ruler of North Cloud Commandery and would even be rewarded to the 4 neighboring commanderies. At the same time, he also wanted to see how these 3 people would eliminate the 5 martial saints of the other party. He also wanted to know if he had followed the wrong person. If he wanted to make North Cloud Commandery submit, he had to have heaven-defying abilities. We understand. When the time comes, Zhu Ziyun will lead the army to fight alongside the Chu Lord and achieve the supreme holy cause of the young lord. Zhu Tianyun replied respectfully with a curious look on his face. The 5 martial saints in the Qing Luo army understood what was going on. Nanda County was not an ally of the Qing Luo kingdom, but an enemy, a true enemy. The 5 martial saints did not dare to participate in the battle because this was the ironclad law of the divine martial continent. However, the 5 martial saints were hovering in the air, using their heaven-defying auras to boost the morale of the Qing Luo army. This meant that with the presence of the martial saints, the morale of the Qing Luo army would not drop. Sky Yao, Yunhao, and I will restrain the others. Use the heaven-startling hammer to wipe them all out. Martial Saint Ming Luo looked at the martial saint powerhouse in the sky and revealed a cruel smile. Martial saints were not allowed to participate in the battle of the army, but killing a martial saint was naturally within the iron law. Even if it was beyond the law, so what? A person like Li Lingtian was capable of anything. All right. Sky Demon King nodded. The smile on his face was exceptionally cruel. Suddenly, Martial Saint Ming Luo and Martial Saint Yunhao flashed and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already in the air and bombarded the 5 martial saints. The heaven-defying cultivation base of the 3rd sky of the martial saint realm and the earth-shattering pressure suppressed the 1st sky of the martial saint realm. The pressure of 2 level 3 experts suppressed 5 level 1 experts. The level 1 martial saints could only display half of their cultivation strength. 3rd sky of the martial saint realm. 3rd sky of the martial saint realm. When the 5 martial saints saw Martial Saint Ming Luo's pressure and aura, they were instantly shocked to death. Originally, they had wanted to rely on the 5 of them to suppress the 2 million soldiers, but they had never expected that they would be used by the other party. They had also never expected that the other party would actually dare to break the iron law and participate in the battle. Die! Boom! In this state of shock, Heaven Demon Monarch's tall figure floated in the air as he struck down with the heaven-shocking hammer in his hand. They were both at the peak of the 3rd sky of the martial saint realm. The overbearing power and the terrifying pressure shook the sky and earth. Phut! A 1st sky of the martial saint realm was killed by a hammer. He was beaten until he disappeared into thin air. Rumble! Rumble! When their companion was killed, the other 4 martial saints also reacted. Not only did the other party want to participate in the battle, but he also wanted to kill all of them. The 3/3 Sky Marshal Saints had been waiting here for a long time. For a moment, the 4 First Sky Marshal Saints and the 2/3 Sky Marshal Saints fought in the air. Heaven Demon Monarch floated in the air and had no intention of attacking. Marshal Saint Ming Luo and the two of them were at the 3rd sky. It was fun for them to deal with 4 First Sky Marshal Saints. Not to mention 2/3 Sky Marshal Saints, even he could suppress 4 First Sky Marshal Saints alone. This was the advantage of his realm. Boom. Phut. Another explosion sounded as the heaven-startling hammer struck a First Firmament Marshal Saint. Similarly, in front of the heaven-startling hammer of a 3rd Firmament Marshal Saint Demon King, even if a First Firmament Demon King was prepared, he would still die. They vanished into thin air, leaving behind only 3 First Heaven Marshal Saints. On the city wall, Zhu Tianyun and the other two were stunned. They had always thought that Marshal Saints would not die. Even if they could not defeat them, they could still escape. However, when they saw the 2 Marshal Saints being killed like ants, they were terrified. Boom, boom, boom. 3 destructive explosions sounded in a row. 3/3 Sky Marshal Saints killed the 1st Sky Marshal Saints at the same time. The 3 million soldiers were stunned as they watched the battle between the Marshal Saints in the sky. When the 5 Marshal Saints from the Qing Luo country fell, the crowd was in an uproar. The morale of the Qing Luo army was low, but the morale of Nandu Commandery and North Cloud Commandery soared. Kill them! Kill them! Kill them! Shocking shouts and destructive attacks. Marshal Saint Ming Luo and the other two returned to the city wall. Zhu Tianyun and the other two were trembling in their hearts. It turned out that the 1st sky of the Marshal Saint realm was so fragile. Fortunately, they had agreed to submit. Otherwise, they would have been the first to die. Sir, should we stop the war? Zhu Tianyun came to Marshal Saint Ming Luo and bowed respectfully. The battle had already reached this stage, and the morale of the 2 million soldiers was sky high. If they could kill the 1 million soldiers of the Black Civ army, they could completely take them in. Wait a minute. Since this is a war, we have to go through the smoke and blood of the war. We have to leave the 500,000 soldiers of the Qing Luo kingdom behind. Marshal Saint Ming Luo waved her hand and said indifferently. This was also Li Lingshan's intention. Those who stayed behind were the true army. Even if they were lucky enough to survive, they were not fated to die. A great battle was a massacre in itself. A general's achievements would lead to the death of 10,000 bones. These things could not be avoided. Benevolence to the enemy was cruelty to oneself. Sure. Upon hearing Marshal Saint Ming Luo's words, many of the super experts on the city wall gasped. However, no one dared to resist at all, nor did they have any objections. 800,000. 700,000. 600,000. On top of the city walls, some of the supreme experts had estimated the remaining forces of the Black Civ army based on the scale of the battle and reported their numbers. Those who submit will prosper, those who rebel will die. Those who submit will stay, and those who don't will die. Marshal Saint Ming Luo said lightly and closed her eyes. Immediately, Chu Tianlan received the order. Marshal Saint Ming Luo told Zhu Tianyun everything and left the city wall with her men. Chu Tianlan and Zhu Tianyun's people would handle the rest of the matters, as they didn't want to do it themselves. The battle ended in less than an hour. This war had shaken Qing Xian and the other countries. When Qing Xian Kingdom was in trouble, Nanda County had joined forces with the Qing Civ army to attack North Cloud County. In the end, they had even annexed the Qing Civ army. All of a sudden, countless commanderies and countries were shocked. The Nandu Commandery was very powerful. They had swept through the millions of soldiers from the North Cloud Commandery and the Qing Luo Kingdom in an hour. After the organization was sorted out, the army had reached 2 million, and all the resources had been transferred to the Nanda County army. The morale of the Qing Xian Kingdom plummeted. The enemies were powerful and there was internal strife. The commotion in Nandu Prefecture confused many commanderies and countries. They couldn't believe that Nandu Prefecture was going to fight for hegemony. As long as we can unite all the commanderies in Qing Xian in a short time and wipe out some of the other commanderies, our power will be even greater. At the Li residence, Li Lingtian was looking at a huge hand-drawn drawing of a beast hide with a faint smile on his face. On this map, there were some countries near Qingxian and some rough geographical locations. He didn't have much power now. He could only wipe out the commanderies around Qingxian and build his own strength. That way, he could stand firm. Our core strength isn't strong enough. It's impossible for us to meet a powerful army. Therefore, we'll think of a way to build our own powerful army. Huangfu Yuyan and the rest stood beside Li Lingtian. They were also looking at the 10-meter-long and 3-meter-wide blueprint with a happy expression on their faces. This was a legend who had conquered the world. This legend was about to be born and they could feel the aura of conquering the world from Li Lingtian. To strategize and guide the country. That's right. It's impossible to conquer the world with just a few ordinary armies. Therefore, we must fight a real army. It's like a legion, like the Guard Regiment. Moreover, we need 4 legions. A Martial Emperor's Legion, a Martial Honors Legion, a Martial Emperor's Legion, and a Martial Saints Legion. Li Lingtian nodded. He did not want a war to end in a stalemate. What he wanted was the momentum of a whirlwind sweeping away the clouds and the dominance of a world conqueror. Wherever he went, he would be invincible and invincible. If Big Brother Lingtian can build such an army, he'll definitely sweep across the world. I'm so excited just thinking about it. Shenyuan Yingying was extremely happy. The rest of the army was made up of warrior spirits and martial kings. Even if there were martial grandmasters and martial emperors, there were very few of them. Martial supremes and martial emperors were also at the general level. Not to mention creating an army above the rank of a martial emperor. An army above the rank of a martial emperor would be invincible. Oh right, husband, why don't you take out your current group of guards and form a group of martial royal realm guards? This way, we can be invincible. Moreover, after we break through the city, we can absorb martial honors and martial emperors, and take in martial saints. This way, our speed will be even faster. Speed is the most important thing in war. We'd better build up our strength while the other kingdoms and countries aren't paying attention. Otherwise, when the other kingdoms and countries notice us, we won't be able to move an inch. Shun Mai'er kept muttering to herself before she finally voiced out her thoughts. Li Lingtian and the others listened attentively. After hearing this, they all agreed with him. A group of guards from a martial monarch realm expert. If such an army joined the war and formed an independent group, they would definitely be invincible when gathered together. This was a battle where they were outnumbered. They did not have the slightest bit of strength, so they could only rely on speed to absorb more powerful forces. Only then could they stand firm. That's right, Sister Mai'er is right. I also agree with Sister Mai'er's opinion. Millimeter, Mai'er is right. If we wait for the other kingdoms to pay attention, it will be difficult for us to act. All of a sudden, the girls agreed with him. As they spoke, they looked at Li Lingtian to see what he thought. Indeed, one should be rewarded. Li Lingtian agreed with Shun Mai'er's opinion in his heart. With a smile on his face, he planted a kiss on Shun Mai'er's forehead. Instantly, Shun Mai'er was embarrassed. Being treated like this in front of so many sisters, she was naturally shy. How about this? I'll give the Martial Monarch's Guard group a name and let Heaven Demon King lead it. He likes to kill, so he can lead it. Li Lingtian and the others returned to their seats and began to think of the name of the division. The name of a division was very important. P.S. I recommend September Fire's fantasy masterpiece, Heaven Swallowing Tyrannical Way. Chapter 619, Divine Wind Legion and Divine Dragon Legion. Divine Wind Legion. Li Lingtian thought for a long time before he finally replied. Divine Wind Legion? Divine Wind Legion? This name is not bad. Domineering, the momentum of the wind sweeping away cloud. With the power of lightning, the wind and clouds move, invincible. Upon hearing Li Lingtian mention the Divine Wind Troop, they nodded in agreement. Although they were smart girls, they were still girls after all. Hence, they had to behave like girls. Naturally, the name they gave was not domineering. As a powerhouse, Li Lingtian naturally had more considerations. This name was also suitable for a martial emperor's army. Coupled with the heaven demon monarch's strength and warlike nature, he naturally led a martial monarch battle group. At the same time, he had also thought of the name of the army of martial supremes and martial emperors. He had even thought of the battle group of martial saints. The martial emperor level was divine wind, the martial honor level was divine dragon, the martial emperor level was divine martial, and the martial saint level was war god. Such a name had its advantages and its rules. If you take out the divine martial army, you will definitely become the public enemy of the divine martial continent. Now, he had 5,000 martial emperors and 1,000 supreme realm experts under him. He could establish 2 legions immediately. When the time comes, order Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Yunhao to come back and lead the Divine Wind Legion and the Divine Dragon Legion. Heaven Monster King will be the commander of the Divine Wind Legion, and Martial Saint Yunhao will be the commander of the Divine Dragon Legion. With the 2 of them working together, they will be invincible. Li Lingshan's smile remained as he thought of the strength of the 2 legions. These legions were led and developed by themselves. The Divine Wind Troop could naturally have martial venerables, martial emperors, and even martial saints. It was not limited to martial emperors. The Divine Dragon Army was also a martial honor. They could also have martial emperors and martial saints, but they could not let anyone below the rank of a martial honor join them. Moreover, loyalty and strength were the criteria for joining. These 2 legions will slowly replace all the other legions. When they have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions, they will become powerful weapons that can sweep across the world. Ling Tian, as long as you have divine martial and war god under your control, no one in this world will dare to provoke us. Tang Qujinju smiled happily. Her words were exactly what Li Lingtian had meant. There were only a few thousand legions at the moment, but in the future, they would become the main force that would sweep across the world. There's another very serious problem. Yingying is here too. You siblings have to think it over. Huangfu Yuyan looked at Li Lingtian seriously before her gaze landed on Shenyuan Yingying. Seeing Huangfu Yuyan's serious expression, they all looked at her, wondering what the problem was. What's the problem? Tell me about it. Li Lingtian looked at Huangfu Yuyan and spoke gently. The things his wife said must be important, or else she would not have said them out loud. Furthermore, the things she said must be for his own good. That's right. No matter what army it is, it must have a banner. Because we have to let the army know who they are serving and whether it is worth it. This banner is also the soul of the army. Now that the Divine Wind Legion and the Divine Dragon Legion have appeared, the experts below naturally have to know the figures behind the 2 legions. In this way, they must have a banner. For this banner, all the armies can swear to protect the dignity of the banner. I want to know if you are going to take the banner Li or Shenyuan. Huangfu Yuyan's words were not rhetorical at all. She had just stated the problem. This way, the problem was out there and everyone could come up with a solution. Since Li Lingtian was a Li by nature, he should have established a Li Consortium's banner. However, Li Lingtian had joined the Shenyuan family and was also called Shenyuan Lingtian. If he were to use the Li Consortium's banner, it would not be good for Shenyuan. If he were to use the Shenyuan banner, it would affect Li Lingtian. The question silenced the living room as everyone turned to look at Li Lingtian and Shenyuan Yingying. The flag is obviously the Li Consortium's flag. Although Big Brother Ling Tian has joined the Shenyuan clan, the surname is just a formality. The Shenyuan clan is spread all over the world, and all the people in the world are descendants of the Shenyuan clan. Moreover, the Shenyuan clan stands aloof from worldly affairs and is Brother Ling Tian's eternal home. If we use the Shenyuan clan's name, it'll be even more serious than Brother Ling Tian using the Divine Martial Army. Besides, Big Brother Ling Tian is the young master of the Shenyuan clan, and Yingying will be Big Brother Ling Tian's wife in the future. Of course, she'll follow Big Brother Ling Tian, and her name will naturally be the Li Consortium. Shenyuan Yingying was the first to speak. Her face turned red as she finished speaking. Even though she had been with Li Lingtian for a long time, this was the first time she had said such words. Even though she adored Li Lingtian and knew that she would become Li Lingshan's wife, it was still a little embarrassing to say it out loud. However, when she said this, all the girls were satisfied. They did not reject her at all. In the past, they did not reject her at all. Instead, they liked her. Now, there was no reason to reject her. Let's use the Li Consortium's banner. Ying is right. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement with Shenyuan Ying's suggestion. In fact, it did not matter to him what the banner was because it was all about strength. However, Shenyuan Ying felt shy when he said that. Shenyuan Ying had said that she wanted to be his wife, and he had agreed with her. He didn't care about the things that happened in between, but Shenyuan Ying did. Oh right, I'll refine more pills during this period of time as a reward for those talented experts and those who have contributed to the army. This way, we can also absorb more martial emperors and martial saints. Although we won't take out the divine martial army and the war god army, we have to build them in secret first. Finally, Li Lingtian brought up the most important matter. Once some matters were resolved, everyone felt relaxed. Following that, they went to the garden to play and cultivate. Li Lingtian ordered the Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Yunhao to come back and build 2 legions. The war had ended, and they had even taken down Southwind County. Now, with the combined forces of North Cloud County and Nandu County, the situation was stable. The shock from the outside world did not affect Li Lingtian and the others' plans. Chu Tianlan, Zhu Ziyun, and a few martial saints were reorganizing their troops and awaiting Li Lingtian's orders. Once the order was given, they would sweep through the other commanderies. All of a sudden, some of the commanderies near the North Cloud Commandery became uneasy, worried that Nandu Commandery would make a move. However, Chu Tianlan and the rest of the army did not make a move. Instead, they focused on reorganizing their forces. Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Yunhao had also rushed back and were waiting for Li Lingtian in the living room. This subordinate greets young master. Upon seeing Li Lingtian's arrival, Heavenly Monster King and Martial Saint Yunhao bowed respectfully. No matter how powerful they were in the outside world, they were respectful in front of Li Lingtian. They knew how powerful Li Lingtian was. I called you back because I have something important to tell you. I've already established the Divine Wind Legion and the Divine Dragon Legion. I need you to lead them. As a commander-in-chief, you need to have heaven-defying strength, great intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to communicate with your subordinates. Yunhao, I won't talk about it anymore. I'm mainly looking at you, Sky Yao. You like to kill, but you have to worry about your subordinates and army. I'm giving you an army, not for you to fight alone. The success or failure of an army depends on the commander's ability. The 5,000 martial emperors of the Divine Wind Legion will be handed over to the Heavenly Yao. The 1,000 martial venerables of the Divine Dragon Legion will be handed over to Yunhao. You two can develop yourselves. In the future, these 2 legions will become the main force that will sweep the world. Li Lingtian explained his arrangements and the countless principles of leading an army. They were powerhouses, but they knew nothing about leading an army. Hence, they wanted to take advantage of this small skirmish to gain some experience. Otherwise, when the various countries and kingdoms fought for hegemony, he would not have anyone he could use. Your subordinate will obey. I will definitely make the army a powerful army that can sweep across the world. Heavenly Monster King and Yunhao were extremely excited as they knelt down respectfully to receive Li Lingtian's order. At the same time, she understood Li Lingtian's painstaking efforts and the difficulty of the task. Yunhao Martial Saint was fine. He was extremely intelligent. As long as he fought steadily, nothing would happen. The Heavenly Demon King felt heavy because the Divine Wind Legion of a martial emperor had the most people. It had become the main force. There were millions of troops at any time. At that time, as the commander, he couldn't have any problems. Li Lingtian trusted him by assigning him such a mission. Therefore, he must not disappoint Li Lingtian no matter what. Even though he knew that he would not have the chance to participate in the battle in the future, he still had to agree. Although you are martial saints, with such a legion in your hands, it's inevitable that some experts will attack you. Therefore, no matter what, you must protect your lives. As long as there's life, there's hope. I can lose the world if I keep my most trusted guard by my side, but I don't want my subordinates to be killed. Although I'm powerful, I don't have the ability to bring the dead back to life. You guys take care of yourselves. This is a crucial period for the establishment of the army, so you must be serious and slowly train. When the time comes, you will be able to conquer the kingdom and conquer the world. Li Lingtian said seriously without any pretense on his face. He looked at Heavenly Monster King and Marshal Saint Yunhao. He was a person who cared about relationships. He would rather lose the world than lose his loved ones. Even his subordinates were the same. After being with him for a long time, they would develop feelings. I will not disappoint you, young master. I will help you sweep the entire heaven mystic continent and dominate the world. I will make the world tremble in front of your army. The two of them were extremely touched. With Li Lingshan's words, their deaths were worth it. They did not think that Li Lingtian was trying to stir things up because they understood Li Lingshan's character and knew how powerful he was. There was no need to stir things up. P.S. I recommend this book, Muchen's complete masterpiece. One hand covers the immortals. All readers can go and take a look. He casually asked for votes. Chapter 620, Flame Gold Demon Dragon B0XN, VL. After receiving the order, the two of them went to the drill ground and took their men away. Moreover, Li Lingtian had specially crafted the Divine Wind Legion and Divine Dragon Legion's tokens. With Li Lingshan's orders, there would not be any objection. Furthermore, they were all extremely excited because when the war came, they would become the heroes of the army. When they fought for the world, they also had a part to play. Li Lingtian felt much more relaxed after everything was arranged. The two legions were developed by his subordinates. He didn't need to do it himself. He would only make a move at the truly critical moment. He understood that the truly terrifying existences were those hidden experts. He wanted to be a person behind the scenes and achieve everything with the smallest amount of strength. He was able to strategize thousands of miles away and guide the country. It's almost done here. Let's go to Qingxian. Li Lingtian was smiling. Qingxian was the foundation of the empire. Even though it was not breached by the combined attack of several other countries, the situation was already in danger. He did not want to see Qingxian destroyed. After all, this was the Shenyuan family's property. With the addition of two legions, they would develop rapidly. As long as no accidents happened, they would become stronger quickly. Moreover, he had also arranged for the war to sweep through the entire Qingxian country and unify the country. At the same time, he would also clean up the commanderies around the Qingxian country. They were going to attack Qingxian with unstoppable momentum. They could wait in Qingxian. Moreover, there was another important thing. When the Divine Wind and Dragon Legion reached Qingxian, they would slowly replace the main force. When the time came, he would be behind the Qing Luo Kingdom and Tian Luo Kingdom. With the addition of the Qingxian Kingdom, he would be able to deal a heavy blow to these countries. I understand what you mean. I understand what Ling Tian means. When Huangfu Yuyan heard that Li Lingtian was going to Qingxian, a smile immediately appeared on her face. Tang Qingyu was also beaming. The two of them were extremely intelligent and naturally knew of Li Lingshan's plan. Sister Yuyan, Sister Qingyu, what do you understand? Tang Zimeng, Shun Mai and the others looked at Huangfu Yuyan and Tang Qingyu curiously, wondering what they had understood. We won't tell you. You should ask him. The two ladies smiled and looked at Li Lingtian. However, Li Lingtian had no intention of opening his mouth. Since he did not say anything, they gave up out of boredom. However, they were overjoyed at the thought of going to Qingxian. Very soon, they began to pack up and prepare to head to Qingxian. 3 days later, Li Lingtian and the others left Nandu County. The other martial emperors and martial saints also left Nandu County a day earlier. Marshal Saint Ming Luo was the commander of the Divine Martial Army, and Long Da was the commander of the War God Army. The two armies had not appeared yet, but they had been established. They managed their own armies. However, Long Da was Li Lingshan's bodyguard. Naturally, his subordinates stayed by Li Lingshan's side. On this trip to Qingxian, Li Lingtian did not ask them to follow him. Instead, he headed to Qingxian first while Long Da piloted the spaceship and swiftly flew toward Qingxian. Leaving Nandu County, they were all extremely happy. This was the first time they had crossed over to this place. Although they were reluctant to leave now, they wanted to travel the world. Furthermore, this was also the first time he was leaving Nanda County for the stronger Qing Xian country. On the spaceship, a group of girls were chattering non-stop, looking extremely excited. Li Lingtian was delighted to see the girls' reactions. However, he had to be more careful since Big Dragon was the only one by his side this time. From Nanda Prefecture to Qing Xian, even if it was a flying ship, it would still take 5 days. Moreover, Li Lingtian and the others were not in a hurry to get on the road. They flew at a moderate pace and enjoyed the scenery along the way. They would stay and visit the fun places they came across. With a group of peerless beauties by his side, no matter where he was, he would be in a good mood. Even if the war in Qing Xian was raging in countless commanderies, they didn't take it seriously. After all, the war had nothing to do with them. Moreover, by then, the Qing Xian kingdom would be theirs, so there was naturally no need for them to care. In fact, within Qing Xian, other than Nanda Prefecture, all the other commanderies had sent troops to support Qing Xian. Li Lingtian paid attention to every commandery he passed by. Although they had sent troops to support Qing Xian, they had not shown their true strength. Instead, they had hidden their formidable strength. Li Lingtian could only smile when he saw the situation. After all, the divine martial continent was selfish and would not give up all its strength. This was good too. When the divine wind and the divine dragon legion came to clean up the place, all the forces would gather together. Boom. On this day, Li Lingtian and the others entered Qing Xian. Qing Xian was a country with a radius of hundreds of millions of miles. The commanderies under it were just affiliated. This Qing Xian was the real country. Everything below it was under the jurisdiction of Qing Xian. Just as Li Lingtian and the rest spaceship passed by a mountain range, a shocking spirit qi soared into the sky. The shocking spiritual energy was not as powerful as the spiritual energy pillar in the bottomless abyss, but it carried a sharp attack. Moreover, it was metal-type spiritual energy, pure metal-type spiritual energy. The flying ship shook and almost fell. Fortunately, Long Das' cultivation was deep, so he quickly stabilized the flying ship. After flying for 10 miles, the spaceship came to a stop. Li Lingtian looked at the spirit qi in the mountain range with surprise and a hint of anger on his face. He didn't know if this spiritual energy was unleashed by a powerful force or formed naturally. After pondering for a while, the expression on his face calmed down. "Wait for me here. I'll go take a look." Li Lingtian replied calmly. He was extremely curious as to why he was unable to discover the source of the spirit qi despite the mystical existence of the 5 elements Tao intent and heaven and earth reincarnation. Originally, his cultivation and attributes, any of the 5 elements, could not escape his eyes. However, this time was an exception. This was also what he was curious about. After saying that, his figure flashed and disappeared from the spaceship. When he reappeared, he had already arrived at the place where the spiritual energy had just attacked. His divine sense quickly extended, but he did not find any traces. The spiritual energy had also disappeared, as if everything just now was an illusion. It's not that easy to avoid my gaze. Li Lingtian's expression changed. With one hand and one body, a violent metal spirit qi circulated. The will of the great path of metal was also released. Suddenly, the entire mountain range was filled with the violent and destructive will of the great path of metal. The destructive aura of the metal element also became violent. Then, he turned his palm over and cut down in the shape of a knife. With his current cultivation base, even a casual strike without any weapons or skills would be earth-shattering. Even a martial emperor powerhouse would be killed if he was not careful. When the palm cut down, a golden light shot towards the mountain range. It was so fast that it arrived in the blink of an eye. Rumble. Roar. The golden light struck the mountain range, and the mountain range seemed to be cut open. The ground trembled and collapsed continuously. A shocking force soared into the sky, and at the same time, a violent roar sounded from inside. Li Lingtian's face lit up when he heard the voice. He had finally found this fellow. A furious intent filled the air, and the force gradually disappeared. Li Lingtian saw a golden demonic beast appear in the mountains. The demonic beast was 100 meters long and 10 meters tall. Its entire body was incomparably huge, and its entire body was filled with a violent aura. Flame gold demon dragon! Li Lingtian cried out in alarm. He only realized how terrifying the demonic beast was after seeing its appearance. The flaming gold demonic dragon was an 8th grade existence. Its entire body was golden in color and was practically invulnerable. Even the attacks of martial artists could be completely ignored. The attack just now carried the power of a 4th-level martial emperor, but the flaming gold demonic dragon was not affected at all. Li Lingtian had read about this flaming gold demon dragon in ancient books. It was already a Tier 5 creature when it was born, but he did not expect it to be a Tier 8 creature. It was 2 meters long and 2 meters tall. Its huge body gave people a visual impact. In the ancient books, the flaming gold demonic dragon was a terrifying demonic beast. It was an existence that focused on destruction. On the battlefield, it was simply a sharp weapon that killed people. Wherever it went on the battlefield, it would destroy everything. He did not expect to encounter this flaming gold demon dragon in this mountain range. Furthermore, it was also the time when the flaming gold demon dragon woke up. When it woke up, it unleashed its metal attribute and Li Lingtian's spaceship was hit by its metal attribute aura. Boom! Boom! The flaming gold demonic dragon was enraged when it saw Li Lingtian in the sky. He walked step by step. With every step, the ground would collapse. It was obvious how strong and heavy the flaming gold demonic dragon was. The flaming gold demonic dragon couldn't fly, but it was a fortress on the ground and a destructive weapon. Roar! A beam of metal element light shot out from the flaming gold demon dragon's mouth at an incredible speed. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived before Li Lingtian. Metal Dao intent! Li Lingtian's expression changed as a faint smile appeared on his face. He channeled his true essence and activated the true dragon body barrier to protect his body. The limitless feather coat was also activated for defense. The will of the great path of metal was unleashed. Since he wanted to defeat this flaming gold demonic dragon, he had to use its strongest attribute to defeat it. Demonic beasts with 5 elements martial souls were all unlucky in front of him. He was at the peak of the 5 elements Dao intent. Any attack of the 5 elements would be weakened in front of the Dao intent. TSK. The metal will of the way was circulated to the extreme. The metal element aura between heaven and earth merged with Li Lingtian's body. The golden radiance struck Li Lingtian but was consumed by the metal will of the way. The remaining force landed on Li Lingtian's body but he only swayed slightly. He was not injured at all. Roar! Seeing that its attack had been ignored by the other party, the flaming gold demon dragon roared and spat out another golden light. The radiance was once again consumed by Li Lingtian's metal will of the way. Li Lingtian was not hurt at all. If Li Lingtian were to use the metal element in front of him, he would be asking for trouble. Even a Tier 8 flaming gold demonic dragon would not be able to do so. This was also due to Li Lingtian's improvement in all aspects. Otherwise, he would not be able to withstand the Tier 8 demonic beast's attack even with his 5 elements Dao will. P.S. I recommend September Fire's Heaven Swallowing Tyrannical Way. Please enjoy it. Chapter 621. Subduing the Flaming Gold Demonic Dragon. Chapter 621. Subduing the Flaming Gold Demonic Dragon B0XN, VEL. If it was someone else, no one would be able to block your attack. But in front of me, you're still unable to do so. Li Lingtian watched as the flaming gold demon dragon continued to attack. The attacks were getting stronger and the tremors Li Lingtian felt were getting stronger. If this continued, he would not be able to withstand it. Roar! The flaming gold demonic dragon knew that it had met its nemesis. This human also had the metal attribute and was extremely terrifying. Its attacks were completely useless. However, he was unwilling to accept it in his heart. He could only roar and attack. Submit to me, and I will not mistreat you in the future. If you don't submit, you will die. Li Lingtian said coldly as he circulated his entire body's quintessential essence. A stream of light flashed between his brows and a crystal-clear sword appeared before him. The long sword kept spinning, and a shocking pressure was emitted. Instantly, the air seemed to have frozen as Li Lingshan's entire body exuded a terrifying sword will. The Tianyu sword was a supreme saint weapon. After Li Lingshan's cultivation base had improved, the celestial core power in his body had nourished the Tianyu sword every day. As a result, the power of the Tianyu sword had increased significantly. Sword intent was everywhere. He stood proudly between heaven and earth like a sharp sword. The will of the great path of metal wreaked havoc in the space. He grabbed with one hand and the Tianyu sword appeared in his hand. Suddenly, his aura soared, and he floated in the air like a true god. The Tianyu sword in his hand also flashed with a destructive aura. Heaven sword unity. Li Lingtian shouted and a shocking sword ray appeared in the air. His entire body disappeared as he was completely integrated into the sword ray. The destructive sword light directly bombarded the flaming gold demonic dragon below. The 4th level of the Martial Emperor realm had the true essence of the 8th or 9th level of the Martial Emperor realm. The heaven and sword merger was an almighty art that had reached the saint realm divine power. In addition to the domineering sword intent and sword force, Li Lingtian had never used it in such a manner even against a martial saint powerhouse. However, the flaming gold demonic dragon was an 8th order mystical beast with a metal element. Its defense was extremely terrifying. If he wanted to subdue it, he could only defeat it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have submitted to you, so it immediately displayed the destructive heaven sword unity. Roar! Roar! With 2 roars, the flaming gold demonic dragon saw the sword light in the sky and the destructive aura of death. It immediately felt that it was on the verge of death. Instinctively, he was afraid of this sword light in front of him, but it was too late to submit now. Golden light burst out from his entire body as he displayed a terrifying defense. His huge golden tail fiercely swung towards the sword light in the sky, and the space immediately trembled and shattered. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the sword light slashed fiercely onto the huge golden tail. The earth trembled and collapsed, and the space shattered. Long Da hurriedly steered the flying ship into the distance to avoid being destroyed by the shattered space. The sword light disappeared, and the golden light was thrown out. In the end, it fell to the ground fiercely. The ground stirred up a cloud of dust, and the ground trembled. Li Lingtian appeared once again. The Tianyu sword in his hand trembled as he stared coldly at the flaming gold demonic dragon on the ground. The flaming gold demonic dragon's metal elemental aura was weak. It was obvious that it was heavily injured. However, it was a miracle that he was able to survive Li Lingshan's all-out attack. A Tier 8 flaming gold demon dragon had such an attack and defense. It was simply terrifying. If Li Lingtian were to deal with a martial saint like this, even a 4th heaven martial saint would lose a layer of skin if he did not die. Surrender or die. Li Lingshan's gaze was icy cold and his voice sounded like it came from hell. Roar! Roar! The flaming gold demonic dragon's lantern-sized eyes were filled with fear as it looked at Li Lingtian fearfully. At the same time, there was a hint of excitement in its eyes as the demonic dragon was a warmonger. Li Lingshan's strength was just what it wanted. It kept growling, but its roars were showing that it was weak. Even if it couldn't speak and didn't have high intelligence, it understood how powerful and terrifying its opponent was. It was also afraid of death. Follow me, and I will not mistreat you. Accept my will. Li Lingtian spoke calmly, but his voice carried a supreme majesty. His gaze was fixed on the flaming gold demonic dragon as if it was real. Seeing that the flaming gold demonic dragon didn't resist, he moved his divine sense and pressed the will of the way of metal towards the flaming gold demonic dragon. A stream of divine sense entered the flaming gold demonic dragon's sea of consciousness. The flaming gold demonic dragon let out miserable cries, but it didn't dare to resist. 2 minutes later, Li Lingtian retracted his metal Dao intent and divine consciousness. There was a satisfied smile in his eyes. To deal with such a demonic beast, one had to truly control it. The metal will of the way combined with his divine perception carved a consciousness on the flaming gold demon dragon. It was Li Lingshan's consciousness, and this consciousness could control the flaming gold demon dragon. As long as the flaming gold demonic dragon didn't betray him, he wouldn't do anything to it. If the flaming gold demonic dragon dared to betray him, he could destroy the flaming gold demonic dragon with a single thought. However, Li Lingtian would have to lose a portion of his divine consciousness. However, it was nothing compared to his safety. Li Lingtian was feeling a little weak after he was done. His face was pale. After all, it was a little too much to expend his divine consciousness to subdue a Tier 8 flaming gold demon dragon. Return to your original form. Li Lingtian spoke to the flaming gold demonic dragon after he calmed himself down. Instantly, the flaming gold demonic dragon turned into a strange demonic beast that was 3 meters long. Its entire body was shining with golden light. If one did not transform into a demonic dragon, one would not be able to tell that it was a flaming gold demonic dragon at all. After transforming, Li Lingtian grabbed the flaming gold dragon with one hand and brought it to the spaceship. The flying ship quickly flew into the distance. Tang Qingyu and the others were extremely excited. In a short while, they had subdued an 8th-grade flaming gold demon dragon. It was indeed a good thing for them. At the very least, the flaming gold demonic dragon was a rank 8 existence, equivalent to a martial saint powerhouse. Its defense was astounding. If not for Li Lingshan's Heaven Sword Unity, no one would have been able to hurt the flaming gold demonic dragon. It was not that easy to subdue the flaming gold demonic dragon. After Li Lingtian boarded the spaceship, he returned to his room in the spaceship. He had just unleashed the metal Dao intent, which had consumed his vital essence and divine consciousness. He had suffered a great loss and needed a good rest. Tang Qingyu and the other girls naturally followed him back to the room. On the spaceship, there was a huge room that looked like a palace. There were more than 10 rooms inside. This was something Li Lingtian had specially changed at the last minute so that they could live together. While the girls were chatting in the room, Li Lingtian was meditating and resting in a separate room. For someone with his cultivation, it was usually very difficult for him to be injured. However, after he was injured and exhausted, it would take a long time for him to recover. Even if he had the heaven-defying pill, it wouldn't be so effective. The heaven-defying pill was to recover Zhen Yuan, but it didn't help his divine sense at all. Therefore, he could only rely on himself to slowly recover. However, he was not in a hurry. In Qingxian, there was no one who could threaten him. Li Lingtian and the rest spaceship flew at high speed without encountering any danger. However, the war in Qingxian was not so simple. Tian Luo and Qing Luo, Dongming and Nanxiao, Yang Lai and Blackwater had millions of soldiers under their city walls, attacking Qingxian. However, the Qingxian kingdom relied on a mysterious formation to keep the armies of the other kingdoms at bay. Even though there were many casualties, the armies of the various kingdoms had never been able to break through the defense in front of the city wall. This defense was a heaven-defying saint-tier formation, almost close to the existence of a divine formation. Countless armies had arrived at this place, but they were all killed by the endless offensive array. Even martial emperors and martial saints could not break this array. With this formation, Qingxian's capital, Southern Mountain City, was not affected at all. However, countless armies, array masters, and experts were gathered at the city wall to fight. Even if the country fell, he would drag a few other countries down with him. Furthermore, the southern peak city of Qingxian was the home of countless experts. Countless experts would never leave their homes and loved ones. They would swear their lives to stay with the southern peak city. In an instant, the morale of the southern mountain city in Qingxian country soared. At the same time, the armies of the dozens of commanderies of Qingxian were also rushing to Qingxian. The armies were fighting with the armies of the other countries. The battle was in a stalemate for nearly a month. In the Tianluo Kingdom's army camp, countless experts gathered and discussed. This time, the 6 kingdoms had joined forces to deal with the Qingxian kingdom. Their goal was to annex the Qingxian kingdom and increase the resources and territory of their own kingdoms. The 6 kingdoms had joined forces because they were eyeing the declining power of Qingxian. Moreover, Qingxian was rich in resources. If they could control these resources, they would be able to develop their kingdoms even more. At the same time, the rankings of the various countries were about to begin. Although Qing Xian was not the strongest, it was still a potential threat. Therefore, the 6 countries had joined forces to eliminate one by one. At that time, they would obtain even more benefits. Brother Qing, we can't continue like this. If we still can't take down the Qing Xian kingdom with the 6 kingdoms joining forces, it would be a disgrace. Moreover, it would be disadvantageous for us if we continue to waste our energy like this. Tian Luo Kingdom's Grand Elder Cheng Tianfeng looked at the Qing Luo Kingdom's Grand Elder and said seriously. There were more than 10 martial saint powerhouses in this tent. There were even a few 3rd heaven martial saint powerhouses and even more 9th heaven martial emperors. These people were all in charge of this battle. If they were to lose here, they would not have a good expression when they returned. After all, even among martial saints, the competition between them was very strong. There's nothing we can do about it. I didn't expect that Qing Xian would have a formation that is close to the divine level. Qing Lanyun revealed a bitter smile. He was one of the few 3rd sky martial saints. He was terrifyingly powerful. In this place, he could definitely be considered one of the top 3 experts. Therefore, his status was also very extraordinary. Their identities were extraordinary and they did not dare to participate in the battle openly. Otherwise, that array formation would have been broken long ago. However, if this continued, they could not sit still anymore. I recommend the new book, Ancient Sage King Myriad. Everyone is welcome to read it and save it. I recommend it. The new book needs everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,